I was just going to see if it was going to go live. It did. Woo, we're live. Sorry. So the answer to your question, Kai, is yes, we can go live before it's scheduled to go live.
All right, let me send this to my audience. Oh my God,
Send it
it's gonna
out.
ask me to do all this stuff again.
I
All right,
know.
well, Emily, you warm them up while I reshare with my audience.
Yeah, I'll warm up the crowd. I'm going to test too to see if I changed some settings too to hopefully get this out. I see it's on YouTube. All right, so say hello once you get here. Y'all, if this is the first time you're here, what you are witnessing is Spiritual Leaders Unfiltered, where Kai and I and Grace and we're going to get Jose on here too, some powerful spiritual leaders who were boots on the ground, innovating spiritual practices and applying them ourselves so that we can stay strong for our mission. And we've become buds here behind the scenes. And it's so, you guys know, it's so fun to work with your buddies. So say hello once you get here. We've already got Anna in the house. What's up, Anna? It's good to see you. So yeah, that's the drill. Tell us where you're tuning in from as well. If this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Emily Harrison, I'm the founder director of the Akashic Academy, which is a mystery school designed to help visionaries, thought leaders, and difference makers tap into the technology of your Akashic records. Every single person on the planet has Akashic records. This is an account of our soul's journey forward and backward through time from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. And once we start tapping into this space, the amount of wisdom, guidance, and clarity we can get about our lives is phenomenal. Kai has not only been instrumental in helping me and my business grow along the way, but he's also, you and your whole family have become just dear friends of mine. And it's so fun to work and synergize our gifts and skills together and to magnetize energy. So what's up, Kai? You want to introduce yourself? Texas in the house.
Texas.
Oh, I'm calling you from Reno, Nevada. I forgot to say that part about mine. Reno, Nevada, high Sierras. Oracle up in the mountains here for y'all.
Ooh, I like me some mountains.
Yeah.
All right.
Adam.
All right. Liberty Vacation Rentals is here, but I'm sure he goes by another name, but he sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah, Adam.
Adam, yeah.
Woo!
Kai Van Bodhi coming in from the mountains of Southern California, Lake Arrowhead. And I'm going to open us with this quote. You know, language, there's a lot of people that believe our language is kind of used against us because language creates meaning. And Emily, you mentioned that, we've become family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Emily, let me ask you this. What is the quote generally mean? Blood is thicker than water.
Oh, it means that the DNA, like our family ties, our lineage is stronger than, what is thicker than water? I might have to sit with the water part of that interpretation. I guess it's the blood part, the connection to all of us that really illuminates the most in my field.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Well, no, I'm just going to give you the actual origin. This is one of the many words that we use in humanity that actually end up kind of locking us in a prison, a fence, an electromagnetic fence. So the actual quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." And what does this mean? The interpretation means that chosen relationships, covenants, brotherhoods, or spiritual bonds, the blood of the covenant, are stronger than genetic family bonds.
Ah, yeah.
Now, no shade on our relationships as parents and our children and how deeply spiritual that can be. And this is one of those ways we get thrown off track. We so many people struggle with the family of their origin. It tends to be the source of their trauma. And yet we're meant to find our spiritual family.
Yes.
And bond with them. And then even if we so choose, the strength of having a community and a tribe of shared values and a community of practice allows us to go more strongly back into our family of origin. And then we get to make the prophecy wrong that you can't preach in your hometown.
Yeah.
right? We get to preach in our hometown, but we need brothers and sisters of like-minded people demonstrating that there are new ways of being, new ways of taking pilgrimages, new ways of experiencing the extraordinary reality, but then we got to bring it back, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, is what, whether it's psychedelics or breath work, how do we land that miracle back into regular life? And that's been the inquiry that I've been in on a whole new level the last 6 months. And it feels good to be coming from that place of being in the tunnel of miracles and falling out of it, and then getting back in.
Well, and I find it's through reflection and conversation, deep connection. And that's what everybody's like getting you're getting a behind the scenes of what it looks like, in our world, to start dissecting these things. I mean, we have these conversations behind the scenes, and when I'm in breakdown, or you're in breakdown, or Grace is in breakdown, or one of our other brothers or sisters, like we're in support of each other. And so to bring this conversation forward and invite our other visionary friends and thought leaders into it feels like really meaningful. And that's how I integrate it. Is I sit on my porch and I think about it and I reflect about it and I call Grace and I'm like, oh, this just dropped in from the records. I see my karmic patterns, like they're coming complete. And then we celebrate it together. There she is, Grace Van Bodhi. She said she is never in breakdown. That's right. It's usually me.
Oh, that's my wife. That's my wife. She walks on water, baby. She walks on water.
Yeah. And you've had an extraordinary experience this weekend doing it with a client and someone that I'm sure has become near and dear to your heart, that you really like. You were excited to talk about that tonight.
Yeah. I had a client come into town for an extraordinary experience, a medicine journey. And there's always the bias of, you're right, Scotty. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So thanks for being here. And it's a medicine that has, is legal and has a lot of protection, and it's safe, and it has a lot of physiological healing capacity, even if there was no mental, emotional, altered state. And then on top of that, the altered state that it brings is comfortable, open-hearted, and like psilocybin, which activates on our serotonin receptors and really opens us up. This one does that, but it also helps to turn down cortisol and turn down that adrenaline response. And you stay in the medicine for a long time. And I feel so much gratitude in the Wild West of psychedelics to have found my way back to this medicine that has so much to teach me. And being in this with a client, I got to really look at, because the job is not just the journey, which is what a lot of people think it is. It's how do you land the journey? How do you keep it? And in the larger field of psychedelic work, we talk about how do we turn states into traits? Because it's easy to chase the peak experience. It's much harder to bring the peak experience into everyday life. So a couple things that came through this weekend were, number one, and by the way, the beauty of any kind of personal development work, if you're a facilitator of it, is whether you're aware of this or not, it's always a mirror for your own life. I don't believe you can do deep transformational work with people and not constantly be getting to see yourself and where you're falling short. And that's one of the beautiful things of the psychedelic space, is that almost always there's an invitation for the practitioner to partake in some dose of the medicine to have rapport, right? And many of these medicines are empathogens, meaning they open your heart. Mm-hmm. They allow you to feel what someone else is feeling. They increase your neuroplasticity, your creativity, your ability to track. And so even if you have that skill at a high level or a moderate level, if you're in the medicine with the client, you actually can have it at another level. And some of my best healing has come through when I'm not on duty, but I am on psychedelics. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I kind of see this person's game and I would love to pop them open. Let me see if they're available for that. Let me check in and get permission by intuition or rapport. Anyway, it was one of the most beautiful sessions I've been part of, and the other part of this medicine is that it really has a long duration where the person with this medicine can be engaged and conversational and do some kind of transformational process, or they can be in their little nest and under their eye cover, and it works equally well both ways. Anyway, I really appreciate it because it's got this long duration that allows us to start integration while the medicine is still on board, to start to go out and interact with people. And I think I mentioned one of our last interviews that I was guarding for this and assisting, and as part of that, I was in the kitchen, and a couple times I had to interact with my kids, and the type of father that was available is a different type of father, and they noticed nothing strange. I was just more attuned to their needs, and I could kind of read the conversation beneath the conversation, the true need. So anyway, the question that I wanted to bring to Emily today, and really the whole inquiry of my life right now is, and if you've heard this before, just please tolerate the redundancy. It's like, I know how to pull rabbits out of hats. I know how to manifest exceptional things. What I've also recognized is that while a lot of them stay for days, weeks, months, or years, a lot of them have slipped through the cracks in the past. They've slipped out of my hands, out of my life. And I've been looking in a very responsible way at the architecture of that. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about that and what I call the code of awakening. This pattern that's in almost every ancient tradition, including the Aramaic Christian tradition, among others, and how we can start to make this shit in our DNA, like day in and day out, So yeah, that's where I'm coming from tonight.
I love it. Thanks for sharing. And I'm just curious, although those of you who are in the audience, how many of you have embraced plant medicine and found it to be impactful and useful in your life? And yeah, we would just love to know like the range of, because there's a lot of different plant medicine, right? There's cacao to the psychedelics, like you're talking about, the psilocybin. Actually, I don't know if you named, did you name the sacred teacher that you were working with this weekend, Kai?
No, this one is called, by the indigenous of Peru, it's called Wachuma, which literally means to cut off your head or to be without a head, because it puts you in your heart and your body. And by the Spanish Christian missionaries who encountered these indigenous people and had them on the verge of conversion, and the tribe said, or this is the urban legend, but there's some historical reference to this, they said, hey, yeah, we'll convert, but we need you to try our medicine first. And these early missionaries tried the medicine, and they came back and they said, oh yeah, you can keep that one. We're going to call it Saint Peter or San Pedro, because Saint Peter's the saint that opens and closes the gates to heaven.
Wow.
And so this was a moment where that type of Christianity actually received a gift from the indigenous traditions, something that I'd love to see a lot more of in this reality.
Yeah, you know what's tripping me out right now? Oh my goodness. When Grace and I did our live, we were talking about the cacao and the CE5, and many times you're talking about the legends, right? They're the legends of the ascended masters and the beings that come forward on Mount Shasta that appear, and they've got this elixir, right? This medicine that you got to drink. And we were joking, I'm like, screw that. What if we have the medicine for them? And
I love that.
We offer the cacao. So it's all coming full circle. You guys are seeing it all being intended right now for what gets to happen on the mountain. But yeah, psychedelics, it's to talk about, just like, if for me to pull back, and I just feel like inspired to share some of my vision of how I see myself and my friends, my colleagues and my buddies, my beloved brothers and sisters like Kai and Grace that you're seeing us all come together here. There are innovators, difference makers, boots on the ground souls that we've worked together in many incarnations. And you guys might feel yourself lighting up as I talk about this, like talking about some DNA, like, the blood, how we're connected through the covenant and then the womb DNA. That we also have the galactic DNA. And, you know, many of us have served on missions and in lifetimes before where we've come together with our gifts and skills. So you might feel yourself activating or being pulled into that story as I talk about it. But there's a level of soul remembrance that happens with a lot of people in my life at this point, because, you know, I'm seeking that, and I'm in a state where my life is completely built around the Akashic records. Like, there's a level of devotion to my mission where when Kai talks about it being woven in and out of life, to a certain degree in my business, it is. Now it's time for me as Emily the human to really hold the frequency of all of these ancient and modern innovative traditions, to hold, you know, the frequency of doing my work. But I see us as we're here, each one with unique knowledge, and we're required to innovate, assimilate, synthesize the ancient knowledge and bring it into modern day techniques and invite each other into a level of mastery, which I believe that we've gathered together and shared and performed at before. So to be experiencing it, like what it actually looks like, boots on the ground, as you know, there are certain collective beliefs around psychedelics and this medicine and how it's shifting and changing right now on the planet. And I love that you've been someone that's brave enough to bring it not only into your practice with your clients, but like, how do you find the new gates within yourself and how you show up to your family? Like, it's just, it's powerful. So thank you for that. My experience with psychedelics and a lot of the clients that I work with, they've had experiences maybe in college, like they've used mushrooms or another psychedelic, LSD or something, when they've had a bad trip. And I think the first time I experienced psychedelic mushrooms, I was in a really, like, it wasn't a facilitated space or a ceremonial space, but I was in a beautiful space in nature, I realize now. And I was amongst friends, and we were all in Hollywood, and we were like inspired beings. And so I actually had a great experience. I find that a lot of people didn't have such a great experience. What I know now is that the importance of all of the ways that we come together and construct the scene, the setting, the intentions, the openness, who we're with, how the medicine has been prepared and blessed and prayed over, and how we're, you know, prepared and guided afterwards. Because the whole goal of using psychedelics is so that we can repattern our brain functioning, like our cerebral pathways, at a higher and faster frequency. What happens to humans, and I learned this in my training and experience too, because my clients, after they explored the Akashic records, they were excited to experience how the medicine could assist in them expanding their vision and becoming the version of themselves that can hold the frequency and embody that vision. So I began to study and train too, like, what does it look like to do an Akashic medicine assisted vision quest? And what I learned about the human is that by age 2, I think our neural pathways have like started to close down. And then we go through a time from 5 to 7 where they're malleable. But the time that we get to really deciding who we are in life, dude, those things are like ingrained, fire and wire. Your belief system is happening before you even realize that it's happening to you. So what the psychedelics do, now these are not cemented, okay? Like a baby goose. The baby goose comes out of the egg within 2 hours. Whatever that baby goose sees, it imprints, that's its mom. That does not change. Humans, we're not that fixed. We have plasticity and malleability. What can reopen those neural pathways, unfortunately, can be like freaking trauma, like crazy trauma. And then you start repatterning, and it's not necessarily better once they open and repattern. So what psychedelics are doing are giving us an opportunity to consciously reopen those neural pathways, see what's there, what's been blocking us. You speak to the subconscious, and a version of you that speaks to the subconscious is so loving and graceful that the healing and the reprogram, it's like alchemy that happens within yourself, because you really think about yourself differently afterwards. And then for the 48 hours afterwards, neural pathways are open. so that you can repattern and establish new characteristics, new traits. So that's what I've learned about psychedelics. I've learned to embrace the mushroom. The energy signature of the psychedelic mushroom is our teacher. So when you're going to go into a relationship with the mushroom, there's going to be a teacher energy, a consciousness you're going to interact with. But that's, Kai, the experience that you're talking about. And thank you for, again, being a brave innovator on the planet who's bringing through just powerful practice that's changing people's lives. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of openness to remember your relationship with this medicine, because it's not only in this lifetime that you've facilitated this for yourself and the collective.
Yeah. I'm thank you for all that. And, anything can be abused. And one of the teachings from one of my mentors that is sometimes painful but also useful is that what we do is less important than the consciousness that's behind what we're doing. Right. So I know this one is talked about, and I can't really relate to it, but I can understand it from like an outsider perspective. There's an idea that you can use yoga and breath work and channeling to try to escape from feeling something that you need to feel. And your solution is to escape, and if we wanted to put a psychedelic on that, it would be ketamine, right? Ketamine is a dissociative. At a lower dose, it's an empathogen. You feel feelings, but when you get in a higher dose, you're in this 10,000 foot view of looking down at your life. Now, if you're doing that to avoid the deeper work, it can become an addiction. And there can become a lot of problems with that. And there's certain pockets and certain cities on this planet where that people are misusing that unequivocally. Actually, you shared with me, Emily, a person we know, I'm not going to mention the name, who actually someone in their ceremony that was all chemical lost their life as a result of that ceremony. And that's real. And you could use ketamine to go into the 10,000 foot view to look at the cause and effect relationships in your life and see how you're causing some of your own suffering and some of your own chaos. And if you go with that intention, as long as your physiology is safe enough to handle the slowed heart rate and the slower breathing, obviously there's the other thing I just want to say is that it's the criteria for exclusion is really fucking important. Like,
what does that mean? You mean like who you let in?
Yeah, exactly. Like instead of believing that this stuff can heal anything, you actually say this is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And understanding the science. I think I talked once before in this specific type of men's work that I'm part of called VI Kings, 6 Kings. There are these 6 archetypes of the masculine. There's a version for the feminine. And one of them is the healer, and the healer breaks down into the shaman and the doctor. And the doctor is based on logic, diagnosis, science, repeatable results. And gosh, we want that. We really want that. Then the other one is the shaman. Now, the shaman in its darkness or shadow might say, well, I only have one medicine that I carry, and I've carried it for thousands of years. And in my culture, this medicine is good for everybody. Mm. And then what happens is foreigners come in with different diagnoses and different pharmaceuticals, and sometimes they die. And in the local culture, that might even be okay. In their culture, it might be okay. They might believe if it's your time, it's your time. And if the medicine took you there, it took you there. But the doctor would say, hey, this medicine elevates the heart rate. This medicine stimulates adrenal corticosteroids, hormones. And they might say, okay, if you have a heart condition or you have this condition or that condition, you're a no-go for this medicine. That's the doctor. That's the logic. That's the rationale. So I think we really need both at this time in history. We really need both, and we need to carry them in a good way. And we want to use these medicines to experience a different identity and a different version of ourselves, and then have practices to carry it on.
Yep. I think that's the most important thing. And I wrote this down. You said specifically to see where we're causing our own suffering. And the road to that, I'll say, I feel like before I softened my stance on plant medicine, because I really wasn't for it for a long time. Even though I'd had a good experience, the reason is just because I could get there in the Akashic records, and we could get there in the records and do it. And I find that not everybody can. Like this creates a gateway and a template where the consciousness that needs to work with you, that your soul is calling forward, will come forward and work with you. And you'll be soft in a way that seeing where we're causing our own suffering is the most major the most major initiation, like into self-responsibility that we can take, and the invitation to course correction, right? So to fully embody a new identity, you also have the opportunity to reprogram the neural pathways. I mean, thought alone does not create. It starts on all creation starts on the form of thought. But it's not thought alone. It's also our emotions. It's our actions, right? It's this symphony of energy that comes from these beautiful humans that we are. So to use the opportunity to consciously reprogram the neural pathways, the identity, and have support in clarity and like what are the micro actions, the daily things? How do I show up to be this new version of myself on a day-to-day basis and be able to answer that question and know what it looks like? That's a roadmap, right? And that level of mastery and clarity and creativity brought to these processes help the people who are here to innovate the planet and who still have their shit in their way. They transform so quickly in your presence with these kind of experiences, Kai. So just again, thank you because I shared with you a colleague who, obviously that's a really challenging experience for someone to lose their life as we're going through this process. I even thought, oh my gosh, am I even going to do these for my clients anymore? And when you talk about like the exclusion, I definitely, because as you know, our shadow can come up. So I don't take anybody on a journey that doesn't know how to read their records and like take ownership of their own shadow as it comes up. Because otherwise, somebody could have some sort of psychiatric breakdown, perhaps.
Yeah. And interestingly, once you shared that with me, I started to see a bunch of posts in my feed about it. And I started to watch the comments on the posts, and it was super interesting to watch. There were posts about kind of villainizing him. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of this guy, blah, blah, blah. And it was so cool to see the posts. And on one of them, who was kind of villainizing him, it was about 70-30. My maths, I got to think about math. 70-30, that adds up to 100, right? You checking me on that?
I'm checking
so
you.
30% of them was, I never heard of him, or he's so out there and he's this and that. And they were, what a terrible thing, blah, blah. And then the other 70% were, do you know that the third leading cause of death is iatrogenic, meaning mistakes made by medical doctors? Wrong surgery, wrong side of the body, pharmaceutical interactions. Third leading cause of death. And by the way, it's super underreported. And so they were saying, look, can you imagine how much good he's done? And one person, yeah. Do you know how many people die in hospitals, not from their disease, but from mistreatment or from overprescription of drugs, whatever. So it was so cool to see the nuanced response of the community. And I take it fully to heart that he had a responsibility to not let that person leave the journey and go and sit in a sauna and pass out in a sauna and probably die from dehydration and heat, because that's what happened. Something like that happened. So, yes, if you're going to use these medicines and you care about your people, which if you're doing it, you do, you want to take as much responsibility as you can to keep the set and setting safe, mm-hmm. without enabling anybody. And those two medicines, we're going to get off this, but they were chemicals, not plant medicines. Both of them were chemical medicines. So while they have value, definitely have value, and they may have an origin with plants, they're chemicals. And as such, there's more of a risk. So anyway, I fully agree. And like you said, that the clients that if you ever do that work, they have to be reading the records and meditating and listening to guidance and having the courage to follow through. My entry point into this was a long time ago. I had a school for Taoist alchemy where we taught Tai Chi and Qigong and Taoist meditation and breathwork practices. And my clients were by and far acupuncturists, massage therapists, and Qi cultivators. And what would happen is I'd be running an event, and I would show up in the seminar room on a Saturday, and we'd have an event Thursday and Friday, and I would look out at my class, and there'd be 3 to 4 people missing, and out of 20 people, there'd be another 5 that looked like they were hungover as a mofo. And I paused, and I said to whoever was helping me run, I said, go find the people that are missing. And, we had a meeting, and it turned out that somebody decided it was a great idea at like 11 o'clock at night to serve my people ayahuasca. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, are you kidding me? Without, and so all of a sudden I became a de facto integration coach. And what I learned over time was that, and there's people that are titans of the Chinese medicine field who have written white papers and research studies on this, that the Chinese cultivation practices or the Asian cultivation practices like meditation and stillness, like Qigong with holding postures, breathing, they are very compatible with psychedelic work because it's like so when you do any psychedelic, you're basically turning the brightness up of the spirit. Mm. And if you can think of our bodies where the light in our eyes and our consciousness is the light, is the spirit, then we have a wick, which is what burns. You can think of that as our fiber optic cables, our fascia, and our nervous system. Yeah. And then we have wax, which is our hormonal reserve, our adrenals, the health and longevity of our system. And when you put a psychedelic on board, I don't care which one it is, you are going to turn the flame up, you are going to burn the wick, and you are going to deplete the wax. Mm-hmm. And the cool part about Eastern traditions is they're all about how do we restore our wax and strengthen our wick. And that's their approach, is like overflow with wax, reserve your hormones and learn how to build them. There's an art and a science to that. And then also learn how to strengthen the wick through movement and conductivity, Tai Chi, Qigong, Taoist yoga. Anyway, and then what happens is when you put a psychedelic in that person, yeah, it's game on. It's fully game on, and they know how to still themselves. They know how to move energy. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like a well-trained athlete that goes up against a really tough opponent. They're excited for it. But the challenge is if you bring people in that don't know how to train their body, they don't know how to run energy, they don't know how to still their mind, they don't have good hormonal reserves, man, you're going to have a hard time integrating any experience, no matter how healing it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, which is why the daily practices and the getaway as we get to go to Shasta and, recalibrate ourselves over Lion's Gate. These are just why these practices are so super important. Hey, Kai, you talked about the cortisol, and I lit up a little bit because I know that's definitely related to stress. And you had an experience this weekend of really like turning the cortisol down. I'm curious to know more about that. And also, like, psychedelics accelerate the experience and the learning. So you got like a deep dive, saturated experience of what the human gets to look like without so much cortisol this weekend. I'm curious if you think, like, how do you feel like our Mount Shasta trip is going to work with cortisol levels in our bodies?
Well, I mean, the first thing is, one of the analogies, let's first just change the conversation a little bit. a psychedelic is, or a plant medicine across the board, as you've been saying, Emily, creates more neuroplasticity. Your identity is fully up for renegotiation. In fact, to go back to how you opened our conversation today, we're going back to that neuroplasticity of being 5 to 7 years old, which means anything that happens in that state is going deep into the subconscious. So it is a cheat code, because if you don't have the neuroplasticity or the openness of consciousness, there's only 3 ways to change your identity and your beliefs. By the way, whoever's listening, that is responsible for everything you love in your life, everything that is barely tolerable in your life. And if you're in suffering, those subconscious beliefs are responsible for everything that's causing you to suffer right now. So what are the 3 ways from a neuroscience perspective? Number 1, you can do something over and over and over again with repetition and willpower to try to change, whether it's an affirmation or going to the gym or being in a caloric deficit. But it's 1/3 of the picture. And it's difficult, and it requires a lot of mental effort and willpower. Yes. All right. The second thing, you can have an experience from outside yourself that dismantles your previous belief. So, for example, one of the things we're going to do in Shasta in the ceremony with the sacred headwaters there that are very uniquely structured to heal the body is we're going to do a ceremony of acknowledgement. After we've been in for 3 or 4 days, we're going to take that water and somebody's going to start, and they're going to take that water and they're going to speak into it in the Masaru Emoto kind of way. And then they're going to sit in front of another human and they're going to say, Emily, I just want to acknowledge you for how grounded you are, how vulnerable you are, how deeply connected to spirit you are, and how bold you are in sharing your perspectives and your stance for the sake of humanity. And then I'm going to hand you that water, and you're going to feel those emotions. You're going to drink it. So this is where we can have an experience of acknowledgement from outside ourselves that changes the internal story.
Cool. So cool.
The third way that we can imprint a new belief and a new identity is super strong emotion. If you were in a war and a bomb went off and you got injured from shrapnel on the right side of your body, and somebody you loved lost their life over there, those type of veterans, anytime they're in any public environment and someone is sitting in that back right quadrant where that trauma came from, they're going to feel a certain way about that person, even if the person has nothing to do with it. They're encoding that space in their quantum field with that emotion. That didn't need to happen on repetition. That happened one time. And the reverse is also true, and they call it a positive trauma. Right? You can have such an enhanced emotional experience that is so positive that it immediately imprints. Now, I would say if you're curious or you realize like, well, geez, we got to get our shit together on this planet for the new Earth, then you'd want to work every one of those 3 angles. And in Shasta, we're going to work all 3. We're going to have some legal plant medicine available that opens the heart and grounds us in the body and lowers cortisol and opens the mind. We're going to be in a mountain that has the magnetics that does that. We're going to be drinking water that does that. We're going to be around a community of people where there's a level of safety and belonging that is hard to find. And then we're going to have the sound transmissions and the connection with intuition and the guest Jedi that are going to emerge from the mountain, and we're going to do all that over 4 or 5 days with breath work and with intention and with microdosing. And so, it's going to make it almost impossible to not come away with a new identity and a new practice. So that's what we're going to do in Shasta.
I love it. Yeah. And that's really, the whole energy signature of Mount Shasta at Lionsgate is really about getting clear on who, and this is the cool thing too. While we're going to take you through practices in elevated states so that you call in clarity about what your vision is, what your mission is here on the planet. I also find that we get to create it. It's like the more you know yourself, the answer to this question is what lights you up. what could you talk about and share with others about all day that doesn't even feel like work to you? That just feels like you're overflowing service to the planet. Every single one of us comes with that. And you know what it is. You may have forgotten. This experience will help you remember. That's for sure. But I always like to encourage people, like, it gets to be our wildest dreams. We get to create it. We have been gifted an experience of God consciousness, goddess consciousness in this technology. That's what we do, is create. We are the best creators in the whole entire galaxy. And we're remembering that right now. We're a part of this rise of light, of remembrance, of awareness, where we're taking our freedom back. So you dreaming at this level and getting to experience yourself at this level, that's what you're here for. That's the win that we're all, and you're also responsible for creating it. It's not like a lottery win where you're going to, put in a little bit of effort and you're going to get a whole lottery win back. I will say the dividends are like that. You're going to get way more back than you put in. But when you show up, especially in this lifetime as a soul, your soul's going to work. You're going to have challenges. There are going to be great invitations for you. And this is an opportunity to come and, be in a frequency of magic that helps you to remember. I got lost in a monologue somewhere that Kai, I don't know what, saved me.
No, that was beautiful. The thing that comes up for me in studying Aramaic and really seeking and believing that I found some deeper teachings in mystical Christianity, I was listening to a conversation about the similarities of this modern yogi that came to America, not Paramahansa Yogananda, a lesser known one. And he often, like Paramahansa, used the teachings of Christianity, but he showed a deeper level of them. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he shared, and this relates back to the Beatitudes, which is kind of a foundation for this code of awakening, which we'll go over in a moment, and we'll do some breath work if you guys want to just actually do the work together, which could be fun. He was saying that, I'm going to frame it another way. So there's a modern mystic named Neville Goddard. Mm-hmm. And Neville lived in the early 1900s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, maybe 60s. And he taught he called it the law of assumption. And I call it felt inevitability. Mm. That when in your spiritual practice, you can meet the future version of you. So much so that you've already feel the gratitude, the abundance, the health, the intimacy, and then take that with you into everyday life. The benefits are, there's a multitude of them. And it can sound very pie in the sky. And one of the things that Neville talked about what is the sense of felt inevitability? It's like being a kid on Christmas Eve, if you can relate to that. You don't know what you're getting tomorrow, but you just know you wish it was morning already. And you know there's going to be hot chocolate and cinnamon buns. And you know there's going to be presents under the tree. That's felt inevitability. And Neville codified this with something wonderful is about to happen. Mm. Okay, now that sounds sound very spiritual bypass, but let's look at the flip side, bros and sisters. Let's look at the flip side. The flip side is hypervigilance. It's a deep, entrained human characteristic that something bad is about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No matter how much money I've made or how good my relationship is, the shit is about to hit the fan. And there's a word for it in neuroscience called happiness avoidance or hypervigilance. And so we can certainly swallow the neuroscience of the negative one. Well, no one's talking about something wonderful is about to happen. But this is what this Indian saint was saying. He was saying every time you come into a moment of depression or sadness or hopelessness, you have momentarily become an atheist. Wow. Because what you're not realizing is everything is happening for you. Mm-hmm. And if you can surrender to that, if you can, not as a thought, not as a hope, but as a felt sense, then the magic that starts to happen. Because, and this was the other part of this weekend, is like, I've recognized that a large amount of the time, my breath work, my meditation, and my prayer is a transactional peak performance act so that I can show up better and show up better for my clients. And then what I forgot and remembered on the medicine was that finding peace and connection to spirit is our birthright. And whatever practice you use to do that, do not make it a means to an end only. Make it a means of its own self. The meditation is to remember that you are fully supported and you're at peace. And the irony is when you go all in on that type of present moment awareness, which is what we're going to teach in the Code of Awakening, and we're going to get to it right here in a few minutes or a few seconds, then not only is the practice more enjoyable, not only do you leave it with a sense of peace, joy, gratitude, intimacy, abundance, but then you are a better performer because you're not chasing, you're not afraid. You're in flow state. Mm-hmm. You're going to fail. But if you fail in faith, it's way more fun. It's way safer.
Kai, I'm so lit up about reprogramming myself to believe that something wonderful is about to happen. That's so good. That's so good. I think we should, how about this? How about I open up the records? We'll set that intention that we get to glimpse that. We're going to get to experience that right here tonight. I also think that should be like one of the just like a mantra of our Mount Shasta week, where we just like first thing that we say to each other when we see each other in the morning,
something wonderful is about to happen.
Yes, we got to program that into ourselves. That is so freaking good. Thank you for that. Okay.
You're welcome.
So what do you say we'll call that intention that we're going to open up the records and we're going to call up that template. So really how the human works, what makes us such great creators. Makes sense to me why I spent 20 years as a Hollywood actress, because sense memory, calling it like up a memory where you're actually feeling it, you're experiencing it with your body before it is real, which is exactly what acting is. It's acting truthfully in imaginary circumstances. This is what makes us such powerful creators with this beautiful holographic field that's around us, that's taking, our feedback in every moment and constructing a reality. So we're going to start hacking the matrix right here tonight. And Kai, once I get in there and open up the records, I'll hand it over to you and you can bring in some breath work that'll just help us hold this higher frequency of awareness. How about that?
Sounds great.
Cool. Okay. All right, everybody. We are calling in the intention to reprogram ourselves. We're going to feel the coding, the templates, each one of us individually, of what it feels like that something wonderful is about to happen. Okay. And the guys are saying, just take a moment and like I said, think about the opposite of that. Have you ever had the feeling that something bad is about to happen? I was able to notice that feeling of dread. It did not come from me, but I felt it this morning. And as humans, we're so susceptible to that distortion. Some of us are even programmed to constantly feel like something bad is going to happen, that the carpet's going to be pulled out from underneath us, the other shoe is going to drop. So I just want you to think about what it's going to mean for you to give up that programming right now. Think about the areas of your life that are going to get to change. All right. And I want you to be aware of that as we adjust the posture, sitting up nice and straight, feeling all four corners of your feet on the floor, tucking the tailbone and chin under, elongating your spine, laying your palms up, open and receptive on your lap. We're going to synchronize our breath together. And as we breathe breath into our bodies, as we're holding this intention of bringing awareness and space into the parts of our lives that get to change, I want you to recognize that you're doing that right now, here together with a collective community, working in the quantum field as you take a deep breath in through your nose, creating space. Deep breath in. To pull out air all the way into your lungs. Gently pause at the top of the breath. In this 0 point energy, notice the spaciousness in your mind, in your emotions, in your body. Nice slow exhale, like you're breathing through a straw, pursed lips, releasing that air. Blow space into the field, space into your world, space for change. Good. Pausing at the bottom of the breath, relaxing into that 0 point energy, reprogramming. Then take a deep breath in through the nose, calling light into the body. Deep breath in, pausing at the top of the breath. Turn the awareness inward. See if you can notice every cell of your body vibrating with rainbow colored light. Good. Noticing yourself as a being of light as you gently exhale. And tap into joy, the joyfulness, as you witness, as you know yourself as this being of light. Good. Pausing at the bottom of the breath, recalibrating in that silent space. Good. Third, deep breath in, calling the consciousness into the now moment. Good. Pausing at the top of the breath. Give yourself permission to let go of everything that happened before and after this moment. Good. Nice slow exhale, like you're breathing through a straw, following your breath, following the exhale with your awareness. Good. Gently arriving at the end of the exhale, fully present, ready to work in your records. You can let your breath return to normal. Turn the awareness inward. Activate the crystalline tube of light that runs up and down the spine. Take a nice deep breath, clearing out the crystalline tube of light, releasing any static. The crystalline tube of light is a piece of ancient technology that we all come wired with. This is plasma technology, and it responds to your intention, to your imagination. So with your intention, anchor the crystalline tube of light down into the core of Mother Earth, and just sending it down from the bottom of your feet down through the earth. And with your intuition, you'll feel yourself lock into the core of Mother Earth. Don't overthink it. Just allow yourself to experience it. You know exactly what you're doing. Good. And as you open up this flow of energy, this connection with Mother Earth, see if you can notice the bidirectional nature of the channel. Maybe take a nice deep breath in and you exhale with an intention to release any stress, any complexity in your life, any uncertainty. Release it with the intention that you're going to call in light and clarity. Yeah, and just feel that energy from Mother Earth. And see if you can also notice and activate that flow of energy now. Mother Earth sending you the signal of the divine blueprint of perfection. Not only the story, the potential of Mother Earth, but the remembrance of how you play a part in that story. And as she enlivens her own records right now, the remembrance, it activates within you, bringing online within you your highest potential, your Christed conscious potential. You have the opportunity, if you choose, in this lifetime to experience the full potential of you co-creating with your thoughts, with your emotions, with your body, with others around you. You don't have to choose that. Your soul has an eternity. But if you want it, we're living in a beautiful gateway, an accelerated time where that is available. And if you want to bring that energy online from Mother Earth, she will illuminate your Christed conscious potentiality within your being, within your DNA. Perhaps you feel that happening now. Good. Bringing the awareness back to the crystalline tube of light. This time sending it out the top of your head, all the way up through the layers of space and time, exiting the universe, exiting the multiverse. Inhale as you anchor into the Akash, the all that is. And as you exhale, set an intention that your body, your mind, your emotions will acclimate to this high frequency energy. And see if you can notice the intelligence of your soul, forward and backward through time, illuminating in gold, platinum, diamond sparkles of light, becoming available for you now as it spirals down the crystalline tube, through the layers of space and time, integrating into your upper gateways, harnessing, activating in the soul star, spiraling down through your crown, third eye, fourth eye, throat, ascended heart, solar plexus, sacral root, spiraling out your feet, activating earth star chakra below your feet. Breathing, run that energy like a giant figure eight, everybody, through the crystalline tube of light. This activates the galactic DNA. Good. Dropping the consciousness from the mind into the heart, we'll sound the 5 sacred ohms, opening the Akashic records. With this ohm, I relax my body. With this ohm, I relax my mind. With this ohm, I release my ego. With this ohm, I call in the light. With this ohm, I open the Akashic records of Emily Suzanne Harrison. You can use your full name. The records are now open. And welcome to your Akashic records, everyone. Feel the energy of the masters, teachers, loved ones, and guides here for you. Stay in this meditative state, a state of inward reflection. And just notice and feel the energies. Let yourself acclimate. We're in a space where we're so privileged to be in presence with our soul's wisdom, our soul's intelligence. And the guides just want everyone to be able to calibrate to this level of wisdom. So nice deep breaths. And the Akashic Records is, it's a self-teaching technology. It will show up and it will develop a relationship with each one of you individually. It will meet you right where you are. And the more that you build relationship and rapport with this space, the easier it is to return to this space and to pick up where you left off and have an experience. So I just invite you to, in whatever way feels aligned for you, to begin to create relationship and context of what it feels like to be amongst the wisdom of your soul, surrounded by the wisdom of your soul. And a lot of times we can see that as a library, as temples, as files. The guides are encouraging us all to see that as within our field, within our aura, surrounding us, all around us. We are surrounded by our soul intelligence. In every moment, it's here, it's available for us. Bring it closer. Demystify it. Feel what it feels like to allow it to surround you right now, to illuminate, to inform every cell of your body with divine wisdom, source intelligence. This is your divine right to access this level of wisdom, power, of safety. And it's our pleasure to bring forward experiences and opportunities and circumstances where we can lean in and just feel it, create it, embody it. Okay, from this space, the guides want to start bringing up for each one of us an individual code, an individual blueprint of what it feels like to anticipate something good, that it is something good is going to happen. And that program, that template might come in a memory of Christmas Eve for you as a kid. You may be required to look for it elsewhere, but I will invite you to find it. It's best if you can find a real experience, a real memory. I'm asking the guides to illuminate that within everyone's field, a memory when it was real and authentic within you, and allow that to radiate, pulse, vibrate within you. And as you do that, you are recoding your energy on the quantum level. You're remembering that, you're making connection with that energetic state. You're building rapport with that state. You're letting your cells know that you're safe holding that frequency. And if you find yourself needing to make it up in your mind to have that experience of feeling it viscerally in your body, do that. Whatever it takes to get there, hold the frequency. Okay, we're all going to hold it here together, holding it, recognizing that we are not only recoding our physical bodies, we are recoding our patterning in the records. Doing this work in the presence of our Akashic records just creates these feedback loops that this is our desire, our intention to be able to show up in the 3D, holding and pulsating with this level of knowledge, this level of wisdom, this level of courage, this level of creativity and embodiment. This is our divine blueprint. This is yours by divine right. Feel it. Feel the good that is about to happen. All right, Kai Van Bodhi, I'll turn it over to you to take us through some breath work and whatever feels alive in your field that are going to help our human nervous systems hold and conduct this frequency with more ease and grace.
So bring your hands onto your heart, palm over the center of your chest. So much of the code of awakening was already demonstrated there, but take a breath in through your nose, down through your throat, and feel the chest rise into your hands. And then as you exhale into your heart. This is step one of any system of awakening. We have to come home to our divine nature that lives in our heart, our electromagnetic link to our soul. And we'll take one of these breaths. We're going to breathe in through the nose. We're going to draw that breath into the heart. We're going to hold. We'll sip a little air through the mouth, and then we'll pinhole exhale right into the heart. This is your breath to come home to who you are right here, right now, in this moment. Ready? Breathe in nose. Sip through the mouth. Swallow saliva. Pinhole exhale into the heart. Good. Now just breathe naturally and literally soften. Relax your jaw. Relax the muscles around and behind the eyes. But most importantly, soften your heart. Relax all that inner judgment or harsh morality or all that drive, as useful as it can be. This is just a moment to breathe into your heart and soften your heart. Every inhale, the breath comes into your heart, into your chest. Every exhale, feel the blood, the oxygen, and the spaciousness. Now, one distortion that I would love to see corrected is this distortion that we can somehow be moral and virtuous externally without first being moral and virtuous internally. And how do we do that? We have to love and welcome all parts of us home. So as you visualized something wonderful is about to happen, some of you may have noticed there's still something inside you that you judge, some addiction, something you hold against yourself, some part of yourself that you've abandoned or turned your back on, some secret you promised you would take to the grave. So now as you breathe deeply and gently into your heart, find the most abandoned part of you and welcome it to the table. Give it some nourishing food and some clean water. Welcome it back. Love even the part of you that you're afraid to tell anybody about. That's how it heals. That's how it changes. Take a breath in through the nose. Sip through the mouth. Swallow saliva, relax shoulders, exhale, and just send love into this part of you as hard as it may be. Love it the way you love a child or a pet. Now listen. What does this part of you need or want? All of our parts want the same thing, to be loved, to be at peace, to be nourished. And if there's a part of you, there's another part that can listen to your higher perspective. So let's take a breath to tune into the highest level of wisdom that's available to us through this moment of Akashic opening to the higher self, the higher blueprint. Ready? Inhale nose. Sip through the mouth. Swallow it down. Exhale through a pinhole and just listen. What is the deepest level of guidance that you can tune into? And what would it look like to align with that guidance, to listen to it? What's a micro action you could take? And see yourself speaking in a new way, behaving in a new way. The highest part and the lowest part on the same page together. Step into that embodiment right here, right now. And we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Follow the guidance. Inhale nose. Sip through the mouth. Swallow saliva. Slide the hands down to the navel. Palm over navel. Exhale through a pinhole once again. And see if, even if it's minute, can you feel a new version of you? More accepting and loving of all your parts and connected to higher guidance. Seeing yourself taking that action. And then when you're ready, you can return.
Good stuff. I'm curious to know what comes through for you guys out there on that invitation for higher guidance. George said, your last name stopped me in my tracks because it's your wife's maiden name. A gentle sadness, not overstep. I'm glad you're here. Well, there's definitely, like we're talking about, this soul family alignment that draws us in together to do the work. Thank you, Kai.
You're welcome.
Yep.
I don't know if they're still here, but a shout out to Scotty and Mikal and your guys, all the work you guys have put in with somatics, and it's good to see you here.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, let me see if what else wants to come in from the records. Otherwise, we will close them. Yeah, just a moment to linger and an invitation. You all can set the intention that this becomes your new baseline frequency, this level of radical self-acceptance, which is, it's important for, we talked about radical self-responsibility earlier too, and the areas where part of the requirement of the soul journey is to see where we're suffering, where we're causing our own suffering. And when we take our power back in that way, it's a completely different game. And that's what we're all here to experience. I mean, the suffering it's optional. It truly is optional. And our souls learn and grow through it. But like, enough is enough. It's time to really like be in that softened space where we can have radical self-acceptance, which leads to radical self-responsibility. And the responsibility is not only seeing where we're suffering, it's also stepping into the discipline and the opportunity to take our journey really seriously. So while the records are open, if you do feel a call to join us at Mount Shasta, ask your guides and the universe to open that timeline for you and make a way. because the training that's going to happen there, I remember when I got off on that monologue earlier, and I was like, Kai, save me. Where'd I go? The energy signature, and the reason that I take people to Mount Shasta is because, one, it's the root chakra of the planet. So when you come with intention of knowing who you want to be and how you want to serve the planet at the highest level, you change from your root, from the base. And I like accelerated growth is not for everyone. I'll also say that. Just like psychedelics aren't for everyone, accelerated growth isn't for everyone. It is totally for me. My soul is ready to show up and play big and be done with the old lessons that are holding me back, and to have fun. So if that's where, like, you're the alignment that brings you into this space, I'm not surprised, and I'm happy to see you. Welcome. The Akashic Records has taught me a secret. It's how to harness the planetary energy and the vortex energy. Let me share it with you. So we go into Shasta at Lionsgate. Shasta is the root chakra. When you come in with this intention and vision of knowing who you are and aligning to your root, that's cool enough. But dude and dudettes, do it at Lionsgate, where we've got this astrological alignment to the star system Sirius, and connections directly into our spiritual sun. The codes that come through Sirius, and Lionsgate activate courage, activate our highest levels of wisdom and potential. And Mount Shasta is the place where these codes or any galactic code is first received into planet Earth. So getting to be there together and to receive the transmissions that are coming in from the cosmos to support us, while we know how to invite and harness the energy of the Earth vortexes, it's about radical identity change and showing up in our highest potential timeline. So for those of you who are being called, it's August 6th through the 10th. I see the what date coming up there. Kai, what do you want to say about Lionsgate before we close up the records?
I mean, part of why it's so aligned for me is that I've been involved in a lot of personal development that is hard. It's confronting. It's arduous, and there's value in that. And at the age I'm at and where I'm at, I also know there's a way to do that same personal growth in a way that's fun and safe and feels like you're in an adventure. This is what I would say. So, some people believe, Jungian therapists, psychologists, and other spiritual people believe that how fast the earth wakes up to the new earth is how fast each and every one of us is able to wake up to our heroic self, the hero's journey. And the part of the hero's journey is a pilgrimage. It's leaving the ordinary. And what I promise you is that this experience, not only is it going to be fun, not only is there going to be tribe, not only is there going to be beautiful places in nature, it is going to be deeply transformative, like on the top couple events of your life. And you won't be able to go back to life the same way. And we'll give you tools to reintegrate. So is it tourism? Yes, but not really. Is it a spiritual adventure? Absolutely. Is it a one-off? No. But will it be among the top experiences of your life? Probably. So yeah, if you're that person that wants that type of experience, that is really wanting to find the heroic potential in your life, then join us, because that's what we're all waking up to. That's what we're going to wake up to together as we walk the mountain.
In initiation, like ready to show up in devotion to this new version of ourselves. And that's why people experience such radical change after they experience a Lionsgate on Mount Shasta. It's good stuff. All right, everybody, bring those hands together in prayer pose. And yeah, just taking a moment to remember this powerful reprogramming today, where we've invited the invitation of good happening in our lives, good happening here on planet Earth, good and miracles becoming the new baseline frequency. We are the only ones. It's our responsibility to hold that frequency. So thank you for doing it and showing up here tonight. Slight pressure against left and right palm. That's going to help the left and right brain integrate and stabilize in your new coding. Thumbs touching each other in the heart. That completes the circuitry. Giving thanks for all knowledge and healing that comes forward in this space, and acknowledging the frequency of oneness. with one final Om, closing the Akashic records. The records are now closed. Good stuff. Yeah, in the description is the link for the Lionsgate experience if you want to apply. Yep. All right. Until next time, Kai Fan Bodhi.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks for hanging with me.
That was great.
We'll come back and play again soon.
Yep.
Okay.
See you guys soon.
Good night.
Is greater cosmic mystery calling you? The mystery of your highest potential? But responsibility, stress, and EMF are distorting your vision. And the scariest thing is, during our depleted state, it's so easy to give up, to give in, and stay small. There's good news. At the Akashic Academy, we've dedicated ourselves to recovering wisdom that will help quantum visionaries, thought leaders, and difference makers thrive in the face of change. This August, come join me and the Ascended Masters in Mount Shasta for the Akashic Alchemy Immersion.
Why I went to Shasta. The Akashic Academy Immersion at Mount Shasta represented a way for me to be able to work directly with Emily Harrison and a group of people like me that are looking at deepening both their wisdom and their intuition. The fact that Shasta is a mountain sacred to the indigenous people of North America and that it is known to have magnetic energy vortexes, that added to the mystery and the attraction of participating in the immersion. And what has happened since I got back from Shasta? I have been writing more, I have been writing better, and I've focused on developing more skills to coach effectively and empathetically. My intuition's improved. My focus on living a life of good health and acting on what is possible when I play big on my life's purposes has made life all that much more rewarding.
Why I went to Mount Shasta. I knew Shasta would be life-changing because of the potent energy there. I just needed to find the right tribe to go with. When I was in Shasta, I experienced unconditional love from within. I've built a whole company. I landed a TEDx talk. I have the ability to manifest at the drop of a hat because I tapped into the highest frequency in the vortex.